So last time we have studied the definition of group, and we are considering the examples of group. We defined that a non-empty set G together with a binary operation dot forms a group if the four compulsory axioms are satisfied, and these are closure, associative, existence of identity, and existence of inverse. Now we shall consider the third example for group as, let n be any positive integer. And we defined G as G is equal to a raised to I, and this such that 0 is less than or equal to I is less than n minus 1. Or if you write the actual elements, then it will be a raised to 0. I is taking value from 0 to n minus 1, less than n we should consider, or less than or equal to n minus 1. And then a raised to 1, a square, and so on. The last will be a raised to n minus 1. So how many elements are in G? There are exactly n elements. 1 to n minus 1, these are n minus 1, and this is 1. So n elements are there. And further we define a raised to 0 is equal to a raised to n is equal to e. A raised to n will be the element which is outside this set, and that is e. Also, a raised to I into a raised to j product. We define the composition dot by this. Every element is in power form of a, and therefore this is a raised to I plus j if I plus j is less than or equal to n minus 1. Or we may consider it is strictly less than n, means up to n minus 1. And further, this is a power I into a power j is equal to a raised to I plus j minus n if I plus j is greater than or equal to n. So both possibilities we have considered. The sum of the indices is less than n, and the sum of indices is greater than or equal to n. Then the composition is defined like this. So for example, if we consider n is equal to 7, to make it more clear, we consider n is equal to 7. And then what will be G? G will be a to the power 0 up to n minus 1 will be there. And thus this is a square, etc. up to a raised to 6. These are the elements. And the definition is a to the power 0 is defined to be identity, and that is also equal to a raised to n, means 7 here. That is E. And for remaining compositions, suppose we want to multiply this a square and a raised to 4. So a square into a raised to 4 is equal to 2 plus 4, that is 6. And this 6 is less than n, which is n here is 7. So 6 less than 7 n. So therefore this is usual laws of indices we have used. And but if I consider a cube and a raised to 6, two elements, a cube, a to the power 6. This will be, if you use the laws of indices, then it will be 3 plus 6, that is 9. But a to the power 9 means 9 is greater than this 7. Greater than or equal to n means that is greater than 7. So therefore we have to subtract n from I plus j. And here we have to write it is a to the power 3 plus 6 minus n means 7. You see the meaning of this composition. If I plus j is less than n, keep it as it is. And if I plus j becomes greater or equal to n, then we have to subtract n from the index. This is the definition. The composition is defined like this. And therefore we have to write here 3 plus 6 minus 7, or which is, now it is 9 minus 7 is 2, and both these certainly are in G. So the maximum value, if you consider, this is a raised to 6, a raised to 6 into a raised to 6, and that is a to the power 6 plus 6, 12 minus 7, and that is a raised to 5. That is also belongs to G. So this gives the verification for the closure property. Composition of any two elements in G is in again G by definition. It is either a to the power I plus j. If it is less than n, certainly belongs to G. And if I plus j is greater than or equal to n, subtract n, then this becomes certainly less than n, and therefore it also belongs to G. And thus closure property is satisfied. Now what about associative property? The associative property we can have as three elements. So a raised to I into a raised to j into a raised to k. And this can be written as usual laws of indices we shall use. A raised to I, a to the power j plus k. In the first case, if it is less than n, we have to use the first definition. If it is greater than n, we have to use the second definition. And this we can also write as a raised to I into a raised to j into a raised to k, because in this case this will be I plus j plus k, or thus this addition of indices is commutative, and therefore the commutative law is satisfied, because I plus j plus k is same as I plus j plus k, and therefore the associative property is satisfied. Now what about the identity? Identity is given by definition. A raised to 0 is the identity. So here identity, third condition is identity, and identity is a to the power 0, which is also a to the power n is e, and that belongs to, or we may consider only a raised to 0 is equal to e, and that belongs to G, identity element. And if you consider a composition of any element with a raised to 0, that will give the same element, because what is a to the power 0 into a to the power 5, that is a to the power 0 plus 5, that is 5, and thus this is an identity element. A raised to 0 is identity element, or this can be written as a raised to 5 into a raised to 0. Commutative is satisfied. And what about the inverse? Fourth, inverse we may check for each, or in general we shall write the inverse of a raised to I, and consider the composition of this with a to the power n minus I. And what is the result? It will be the sum of indices, that is a raised to n, and a raised to n is identity by definition. You see, a raised to n is identity, and thus these two are inverses of each other. Inverse of a power I is a raised to n minus I. Or you see, what is the inverse of a raised to 0? It is itself, a raised to 0. Inverse of a raised to 1. So inverse of a raised to 1 will be, or a is by this, a raised to n minus I means 7 minus 1, I here is 1, so that is a raised to 6. Or you see, what is the product of a raised to 1 into a raised to 6, that is a raised to 7, and that is e. Similarly, what is the inverse of a square? That is 7 minus 2 a raised to 5, because a square and a raised to 5 is a raised to 7. Similarly, a cube and the inverse 7 minus 3 is 4. These are inverses of each other, because a cube into a raised to 4 is a raised to 7, and thus inverse exists for every element, and therefore it forms a group. Whether it is abelian? Yes, it is abelian, because a raised to I into a raised to j is a raised to I plus j, but it is same as j plus I, and therefore we have a raised to I into a raised to j is equal to a raised to j into a raised to I, or both are a raised to I plus j when I plus j is less than n, and similarly when the same property holds for I plus j is greater than or equal to n, and this forms a abelian group. It is commutative and therefore it is finite abelian group. This is an example of finite abelian group. What is therefore G is a finite abelian group, commutative group with the multiplication defined given in the definition or given in the example with given composition, given product. Product is defined in this way. And further, what is the order of G? Number of elements in G is n. Total number of elements is n, and therefore this is example of finite abelian group. Next, we may consider fourth example as suppose G be the set of 2 by 2 non-singular matrices with real numbers, or that means we can write G as set of 2 by 2 matrices, and the matrices may be denoted by this bracket, this type of bracket or square bracket, A, B, C, D matrices, such that A, B, C, D are real, belongs to R, and AD minus BC is not equal to 0. Then this forms a group that we shall consider with multiplication operation, with matrix multiplication. Matrix multiplication we know, and with that multiplication it forms a group, is a group. Now we shall briefly verify the properties. Whether closure property is satisfied, we know the properties of matrices. Product of any non-singular, this is a non-singular we have considered. The determinant of this matrix is non-zero, and therefore the matrix may be called as non-singular matrix. That type of matrices we have considered. How many will be these? Infinite. A, B, C, D are real number, maybe integer, fraction, etc. real number, and the condition is only that its determinant is not equal to 0, and we have to consider the matrix multiplication. So closure property, we may see product of any 2 by 2 matrices. Suppose A, B are 2 matrices belonging in G. Then what is the product? A into B is also a 2 by 2 matrix. Matrix multiplication belongs to G, and therefore closure property is satisfied. Second, associative property. We shall consider properties of matrices here. Matrix multiplication is associative. That means ABC belongs to G, 3 matrices of order 2 by 2. Then we have A into B into C is equal to AB into C, and thus the matrix multiplication is associative. Now what remains? Third property, identity. We know there is a special matrix which is called identity matrix or unit matrix, and unit matrix of order 2 here is the identity elements, works as identity element. So third is identity, and identity element I is, we know it is 1 0 0 1, and you may observe the entries are real. So, and further AD minus BC, product of these two, 1 minus 0 is not equal to 0, and therefore this belongs to G and is an identity element, is the identity element. What is the property of this element? A into I is equal to, we know, I into A. Unit matrix is equal to A, and this is true for all A belongs to G. So therefore the identity element exists. and what is remaining is inverse. What is condition for existence of inverse? We know that B and A are inverse of each other if AB is equal to BA is equal to I. And for matrix A, this matrix B, which is inverse of A, exists if A is non-singular. And that is the condition here. Non-singular means its determinant is not equal to 0. Let A belongs to G. Since A is non-singular, inverse exists. A inverse exists. And A inverse belongs to G, such that A into A inverse, now A inverse is B, is equal to A inverse into A is equal to I, and thus this satisfies the fourth condition of inverse, and thus this is set of matrices 2 by 2 non-singular matrices with real numbers as entries forms a group. Now optional property is whether it is commutative, and we know that matrix multiplication is not commutative. In general, A into B is not equal to B into A, and therefore this is non-abelian group. The optional property, commutative property, is not satisfied, but it forms a group which is non-abelian or non-commutative, and therefore G is an infinite non-abelian group under matrix multiplication. So this is an example for non-abelian group. We have considered different types of examples. Some are abelian and some are non-abelian. Now we shall consider some properties as lemma for the identity element, inverse element, etc. So for a group G, we write as a first lemma, let G be a group. And usually we denote the binary operation as dot. Now henceforth we consider dot as the binary operation. And then the lemma says the properties are, first is the identity element is unique. Identity element in G is unique. Means only one. This is the first property. Second, for every A belongs to G, there is unique inverse. Has a unique inverse. Every element in G has unique inverse, second property. Third, so for A belongs to G, we have inverse of A inverse is equal to A. Double inverse is same as A. And for fourth, for this happens for every A belongs to G. For any A comma B belongs to G, the property is inverse of AB is equal to B inverse into A inverse. And one more thing is that we shall consider here as a notation. We don't write here after dot. We simply write AB. Dot is assumed. Or for time being we will write dot, and further from next result onwards we shall not write dot. Now the first property we shall prove. The inverse is the identity element. Identity element is unique. Now we know E is the identity element, and we want to prove that is unique. Identity element is unique. Suppose on the contrary, there are two identity elements. Let there are two identity elements and elements, so we shall denote them by E and F in G. There are two identity elements E and another is F. Now we shall use the definition of identity element. So that's why the definitions are important. If E is the identity element, E is identity, then we have E into F. F is other element. E into F is equal to F into E is equal to F. Because E is the identity. This is the definition of identity element. And if F is identity, then what we will have? Again, I shall consider E into F into F into E. F is identity, so the result must be E. So what is the definition of identity element? E is identity if we have E into A is equal to A into E is equal to A, if E is identity. Now here F is identity, therefore E into F is equal to F into E is equal to E. That we must have. And now if you consider 1 and 2, now see the results of 1 and 2. E into F is equal to F into E is equal to F if E is identity. And if F is identity, then E into F is equal to F into E is equal to E. And from 1 and 2, we get directly that F is equal to E. So therefore, from 1 and 2, we have E is equal to F. And what this shows, E is equal to F means the identity element is unique. There are two identity we assume, but it is the same, equal. So therefore, identity is unique. Element of G is unique. Now the second property we should consider, inverse also is unique. G, every element has unique inverse. Second, let X and Y be two inverses. We shall consider two inverse for A. We have to show it is only one, but we shall consider two X and Y. Let X and Y be two inverses of A. Then what we will have? Inverse, definition of inverse. A into A inverse is equal to A inverse into A is equal to E. Here A inverse is X. So A into X is equal to X into A is equal to E, where E is the identity element. And this happens for X is inverse. Also, Y is inverse means A into Y is equal to Y into A, and that is also equal to E, where E is the identity. And now we will consider as X is equal to, this X we can write X into E, and we refer this as 1 and 2. Now X into E, further you may see X into E has the expression A into Y. So we may write E as A into Y. And again, what we can consider is associative property. X into A, this is by 2. E is A into Y. And associative property, X into A into Y. Associative law. Further, what is X into A? X into A is, you see, it is E. So therefore this is E into Y. And by the definition of identity, E into Y is again Y. And thus X is equal to Y, and therefore the two inverses are the same. That means inverse is unique. So this shows that the inverse is unique. Now what about the next property? The next property is this one, third. Inverse of A inverse is equal to A. And to prove this property, we use the definition of inverse. Let A belongs to G, then A inverse also belongs to G. So both are in G. And now A inverse into inverse of A inverse is equal to, by definition of inverse, inverse of inverse into A inverse, and this must result E. Also, inverse of two elements composition is E, but A and A inverse are also inverse of each other. So that we will have A inverse into A is equal to A into A inverse is equal to E. So both must satisfy. And now we can equate 1 and 2, or from 1 and 2 we write. So what we have from 1 and 2? See, their right sides are equal, and therefore their left sides must be equal. So these must be equal. So we have A inverse into inverse of A inverse. This must be equal to this one, A inverse into A. And from this we can pre-multiply both sides by A. Or there is also a cancellation law. You may observe A inverse is on the left factor on both sides. So that factor can be, or that element can be cancelled. And we directly get A inverse of A inverse is equal to A. So by cancellation law, we have, so this cancels, and A inverse of A inverse is equal to A. So this proves the third. And fourth is also simple. So what we shall consider is, let AB belongs to G. And we have AB into, or A dot B dot, we may consider dot, and B inverse A inverse is equal to. Now we may use the associative property and we group the middle two. So this is or we can write AB B inverse A inverse, associative law. And then we use again associative law for this. So this is A B into B inverse A inverse. And what is B into B inverse? That is identity. Composition of two inverse elements, inverse of each other, that is identity, into A inverse. And this is A into E is again A. So we are using only the properties of from the definition. And A into E is A into A inverse. Again A into A inverse is E. So this gives one result. And conversely also, the second result is, we may have the first B inverse dot A inverse. Also B inverse dot A inverse into AB. Now this can be written as a similar way. We can consider this and combine the middle two and then use associative property, and this will result E. And thus we may suppose this as second. And from first and second, the composition of these two elements, and if you change the order, then the composition of these two elements is also E, means these two are inverses of each other. So from 1 and 2, we get inverse of AB is equal to B inverse into A inverse. Now you should note, this is the reversal law. It is not A inverse into B inverse, but it is B inverse first into A inverse. This is important. We can't write like this. AB inverse as A inverse into B inverse. It is not true, but it must be B inverse into A inverse. So these are also the important properties that we have proved in lemma. So remaining part we shall continue next time. Thank you.